Tonight on ABC News Live Prime, Melissa makes landfall, the strongest storm to hit Jamaica in nearly 200 years. The biggest cyclone on Earth this year touches down, already responsible for 7 deaths and massive devastation.
Hi, I'm Micah Jachi in Kingston, Jamaica, where we're surrounded by the rampant destruction of roads and homes and concerns over flooding and mudslides.
The Pentagon announces the single deadliest day of strikes against alleged narco-terrorists that they say tried to smuggle drugs into the U.S. 14 people killed, bringing the death toll to 57 since the president began his campaign last month.
I'm Mary Bruce at the White House with details on the deadliest day of U.S. strikes against alleged drug traffickers and the president's latest plan to fight the cartels.
The ceasefire in the Mideast on the brink of collapse just 3 weeks in as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu orders powerful airstrikes across Gaza, claiming Hamas violated the terms of the agreement.
I'm in panel with the response from Hamas to today's attacks and what happens next.
And Texas is suing the makers of Tylenol, claiming the company hid autism risks following President Trump's claims last month without evidence that the use of Tylenol during pregnancy can cause autism in children. We'll talk to the lead counsel for Texas about that lawsuit. And TSA and air traffic control workers get their first $0 paycheck, reflecting 2 weeks of unpaid work as the government shutdown drags on with no word as to when they'll be paid next. What's being done to help the people tasked with keeping our skies safe?
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. It is a busy Tuesday night, and we begin with Hurricane Melissa, the massive storm making landfall as a Category 5, the strongest ever to touch down in Jamaica. Images of the devastation are just starting to come in. Brutal winds and blinding rain pounded Jamaica for hours, and up to 40 inches. Yes, 40 inches of rain are expected in some places. A storm surge of 13 feet. The powerful storm destroying homes, lifting boats out of the water, ripping down power lines. Residents and families on vacation are being forced to take shelter. Resorts have converted ballrooms and theaters into shelters for guests. Melissa's weakening, on track still to make its second landfall in Cuba tomorrow morning. Where will it head after that? Ginger Z is standing by with the track, but first, Ike Jachi joins us from Kingston, Jamaica. Ike, tell us about what you've seen there where you are.
Yeah, Lindsay, although Hurricane Melissa has now moved away from Jamaica, its effects can still be felt. Strong winds are still permeating this entire area. The storm surge, which was up to 13 feet in some spots, has still affected the southern coast of Jamaica, and officials are still telling people to hunker down.
Tonight, families on the island nation of Jamaica in the eye of the storm, facing the strongest hurricane they've ever seen. Category 5 Melissa, packing 185-mile-an-hour winds, slamming ashore this afternoon near the town of New Hope in southwestern Jamaica. Local resident Daniel Barnes shooting these videos in St. Elizabeth Parish as Melissa made landfall, documenting the ferocious winds. Just listen. In Black River, videos circulating online showing major damage to the local hospital, sheet metal and power lines blocking the exit. Not far from there, boats running aground in Great Bay, wind and rain howling in the hills, waves pushing walls of water on shore.
Take a look at this storm surge, 13 feet in some spots, affecting the entire southern coastline of Jamaica.
Authorities warning no infrastructure can survive these winds, begging everyone who didn't evacuate to stay put.
Jamaica, this is not the time to be brave.
Some areas could get up to 40 inches of rain. Melissa cutting a path of destruction across the island all the way to Montego Bay. Hotels packing stranded tourists and staff into ballrooms and auditoriums.
They're starting to board up some glass doors.
Deborah Shields from Houston is stuck at her hotel outside Montego Bay.
Pray that we get home. Like at this point, at the end of the prayer, right before you say amen, say, I pray that they all can get a flight home.
U.S. Air Force hurricane hunters flying into Melissa, reporting they were forced to abort another mission today because the turbulence was so strong. One of the meteorologists who flew this mission said it was both stunning to see and horrifying to think about the damage it will cause. As Melissa tears across Jamaica, Cuba is next. Authorities are now racing to move some 500,000 people to higher ground tonight.
There's so much concern for both areas. Ike is back with us now. Ike, talk about the biggest concern for residents as day has now turned to night there.
Yeah, Lindsay, although the Hurricane Melissa, the center of Hurricane Melissa, has moved off the coast of Jamaica, right now residents are still dealing with its catastrophic effects that it left behind. The entire western side of Jamaica has been inundated with extreme floods, and right now residents there are worrying about crippling infrastructure as a result of this storm, the loss of communications and electricity, and access to clean water. Officials right now are doing damage assessments, but still moving forward. The residents are going to have to figure out a way to pick up the pieces after this catastrophic storm did significant damage to the land here in Jamaica.
Yeah, we can see
Lindsay?
the picking up the pieces will not be so easy. Ike Ajachi, our thanks to you. Ginger Z joins us now. She's monitoring this powerful storm. So, Ginger, time out Melissa for us.
Yeah, at first I have to just say how surreal it was to see one of now only 3 in the Atlantic Basin, the hurricanes in all of recorded history that have made landfall with 185-mile-per-hour winds. So we are thinking so much about the people of Jamaica, who still have a few more hours, by the way, with this Category 4 storm still moving north-northeast at 8. Cuba, though, is in the crosshairs next. I think landfall comes closer to midnight, between then and about 2 a.m., as you can see on our future cast here. And then eventually by Wednesday afternoon makes its way through the central Bahamas, so Exuma, Long Island, and the others there. That will still be a very strong hurricane. We will kick it out to the northeast and show you Bermuda's impacts. But first, what it leaves behind in the way of rain, because it's still moving slow enough, you could have 1 to 2 feet of rain in any of the elevated areas. That's going to cause flash flooding. And then surge anywhere from 9 to 12 feet on that south shore of Cuba. Wanted to show you this last image because as this thing keeps moving to the northeast, Thursday into Friday, Bermuda gets in the crosshairs still as a Cat 2. So we are finally done with Melissa, Lindsay, by the time we reach the weekend.
Goodbye and good riddance to Melissa. Our thanks to you, Ginger. Explosions in Gaza today signal that the fragile ceasefire in the Middle East may be on the brink of collapse. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused Hamas of violating the ceasefire and ordered the military to carry out powerful strikes in Gaza. Our chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell joins us now. So, Ian, tell us what happened today and what this could mean for the ceasefire going forward.
Yeah, it certainly appeared to be a very serious moment, and I guess in some senses it was one of the most serious tests of this fragile ceasefire since it was agreed. In the first case, you had, this is according to the IDF and according to Prime Minister Netanyahu, you had a shooting at one of the IDF soldiers who was patrolling the zone to which they have withdrawn, and also accusations that Hamas is not fulfilling its promise to return the bodies of the deceased hostages in a timely manner, despite the presence of Egyptian and other assistance by the International Red Crescent to try and find and locate and retrieve those bodies. So Israel launched aerial attacks. According to our people on the ground, there were a number of strikes. Netanyahu said they would be heavy. Hamas then accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire and actually saying that the shooting incident was not carried out by them. Remember, Hamas is not the only armed group inside Gaza. There's also Islamic Palestinian Jihad, but there are also a number of criminal elements there. So it's not clear that it was Hamas. So you have both sides accusing each other of violating the deal, but pressure, huge pressure from President Trump and others not to break the ceasefire. Fragile, shaky, yes, but is the ceasefire dead for now? I don't think so.
All right, Ian Pannell for us. Thanks so much, Ian. Today, the U.S. military said that they struck 4 more alleged drug vessels in the Eastern Pacific. Authorities say 14 people were killed, with reports of 1 survivor. This is on top of the many attacks that have taken place in the Caribbean. Mary Bruce reports now from the White House.
Tonight, the Pentagon announcing the single deadliest day of strikes against alleged drug smugglers they accuse of trying to traffic drugs into the United States. These two boats side by side in the Eastern Pacific as an American missile struck. 4 boats total destroyed, 14 people killed. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth saying there was 1 survivor and that the Mexican Navy would coordinate their rescue. But Mexico tonight says that person has not been found. In all, the U.S. has killed 57 people since President Trump began this campaign last month.
Those drug ships aren't coming in anymore. We can't find a ship. There's no ships coming in with drugs.
Trump has declared these are terrorists and that the U.S. is in an armed conflict, but he has publicly provided no evidence of their alleged crimes or even identified them.
Is it too much to ask to know the names of those we kill before we kill them? To know what evidence exists of their guilt?
Trump claims the alleged drug trafficking is being orchestrated by Venezuela's authoritarian leader Nicolas Maduro and says he has authorized covert CIA missions inside that country. The Pentagon surging firepower to the region, sending in the USS Gerald Ford and its strike group. Trump has said he's exploring land strikes in Venezuela. Maduro's government says Trump's real goal is not fighting drug trafficking, but a forced regime change in Venezuela. And tonight on Capitol Hill, some lawmakers sounding the alarm.
It's not going to make us any safer to get into a war in Venezuela about regime change. When has regime change worked out well for us?
Mary Bruce joins us now from the White House. Mary, might the president need approval from Congress in order to continue these strikes on boats that are allegedly carrying drugs?
Well, Lindsay, the president argues that the U.S. is in an armed conflict with the drug cartels, but he has not so far gotten congressional approval to go to war. And tonight we are hearing from members on both sides of the aisle voicing increasing concern that President Trump is going too far. Lindsay.
Mary Bruce from the White House. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank you.
Now to news on the American economy. Today, Amazon cut 14,000 workers, pointing to artificial intelligence, and UPS says they'll lay off even more, 48,000 workers. Here's Elizabeth Schulze.
Tonight, massive layoffs at the world's largest online retailer. Amazon slashing 14,000 corporate jobs, signaling more cuts to come, as artificial intelligence dramatically reshapes the American workforce. In a note to employees, the retail giant writing, "The world is changing quickly. This generation of AI is the most transformative technology we've seen since the internet. We're convinced that we need to be organized more leanly." And just ahead of the busy holiday shopping season, UPS announcing 48,000 job cuts today too. Meta, Microsoft, Google, and Intel also announcing cuts earlier this year, pointing to AI's potential to perform tasks instead of humans.
Right now, the skills that AI does have, many of them are impacting white-collar workers more than blue-collar workers.
Today, I asked the CEO of NVIDIA, the world's most valuable company that makes computer chips powering AI, if this is just the beginning.
Should American workers be bracing for more job cuts from AI, and what can they do to prepare for the future?
AI is going to change every job, but you're not going to lose your job to an AI. You're going to lose your job to somebody who uses AI. And so I would advise everyone to engage AI.
Lindsay, with those layoffs tonight at major American employers like UPS and Amazon, economists say that AI is allowing companies to cut their costs because the technology helps them do more work with fewer people. Lindsay.
Elizabeth, thank you. The government shutdown is now in its 28th day, and in 4 days, more than 40 million Americans are about to lose food benefits. 25 states are currently suing the Trump administration for withholding emergency funds. The Department of Agriculture is saying, quote, "The well has run dry." ABC's Jay O'Brien is back on the Hill again for us tonight.
Tonight, day 28 of the government shutdown, and now 42 million lower-income Americans are about to lose critical food assistance. The Department of Agriculture now saying, quote, "The well has run dry." And tonight, 24 Democrat-led states suing the Trump administration to force it to use emergency funds to cover SNAP.
I mean, enough of this. Cruelty is the policy. That's what this is about. It's intentional cruelty, intentionally creating anxiety for millions and millions of people.
That means Americans across at least 48 states, like Dana Tuller, a mother of 5 working 3 different jobs, will lose SNAP benefits come the 1st of November.
I'm angry. I'm angry that the politicians that make the decisions don't care. they can just go on vacation, go on recess, and not worry about what's happening to their constituents.
Tonight, tens of thousands of workers furloughed, many not getting paychecks, including workers who keep the skies safe. Air traffic controllers working 6 days a week, now missing their first full paycheck, pay stubs like this one reading zero. Democrats holding firm, saying Republicans must join them in addressing a looming health insurance crisis. Democrats fighting for an extension of expiring Obamacare tax credits, which would keep premiums from skyrocketing for some 20 million Americans.
We're on the precipice of a historic crisis, and Republicans don't even want to talk to us about fixing it. And Trump, where's he? Not even in the U.S.
And tonight, in a break with her party, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene acknowledging she lashed out on a Republican call, accusing the GOP of not having a plan to tackle health care costs. Greene writing today she confronted Speaker Johnson, saying, "I have no respect for the House not being in session, and I demanded to know from Speaker Johnson what the Republican plan for health care is."
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene really holding her party to account here. Jay O'Brien joins us now. Jay, have SNAP benefits ever run out before?
No, Lindsay, they haven't. Not in the program's more than 60-year history. That includes through various government shutdowns, plus the longest government shutdown on record during the first Trump administration. Lindsay.
Jay O'Brien from the Hill for us. Thanks so much, Jay. And with that shutdown now approaching 1 month, federal employees who support the nation's airports remain in the dark about when they'll be paid. Today, some workers got paychecks totaling $0. Joining us now is the acting deputy administrator at the TSA, Adam Stahl. Mr. Stahl, thanks so much for your time. What's the morale like at the TSA right now?
I think morale is strong. I know these individuals, of course, are mission dedicated. They're focused on really ensuring the safety and the security of our skies every single day. But of course, they're human beings like you and I, and so they have bills to pay and childcare, to help facilitate and support. So again, they're mission dedicated, but they're definitely feeling the impacts every single day.
Should Americans be confident in the security of our nation's airports during this time?
Yes, we are focused on operational continuity. We are ensuring that there's no degradation in security in the slightest. However, we have seen some isolated impacts from a security perspective in terms of wait lines. So there will be, we've seen isolated impacts, to wait times specifically. And if this continues on as the days continue, we expect those wait times to increase. So we're hoping for a speedy resolution to this issue.
So how far in advance would you now recommend that people show up at the airport as the government continues to stay shut down?
We're asking individuals, per policy to continue showing up 2 to 2.5 hours before for domestic flights. So we ask folks to be patient, to be respectful, and please, travel again respectfully when going to the airport.
We've seen TSA workers resorting to food banks in order to try to feed their families. Is there anything the agency can do if this stretches on even further? Are you worried some workers may just ultimately quit?
Now, we're focused again on operational continuity on a variety of different things. And the community, of course, has been incredible. Airlines, airports, private citizens have donated a variety of grocery cards, gas cards, meal cards. And so we really are focused again on supporting them in any way we can. And so we really urge Democrats to come back to the table and really ensure that, we are in really facilitating, again, the safety and the security of our skies. And again, we're focused on that job at hand, regardless a shutdown or not.
Are you seeing an increase in people who are calling out sick, taking time off, simply not showing up or quitting?
Yeah, we have seen some occasional upticks in unexcused absences, and that's caused the occasional disruption and increase in wait times at select airports like Atlanta, JFK, New York. And so, as I mentioned before, we do expect wait times, unfortunately, to increase and disruptions to continue. No degradation to security, but again, there will be an increase in pain at the airport in terms of wait times if this drags on.
Adam Stahl, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
A Lufthansa flight from Chicago to Germany was diverted to Boston after a passenger allegedly stabbed 2 teenagers with a metal fork. A 28-year-old Indian national was taken into custody when the flight touched down in Boston. He was charged with assault with a dangerous weapon with intent to cause bodily harm. If convicted, he faces up to 10 years in prison. Passengers on the plane were given hotel rooms and rebooked on the next available flight. Both teens were treated and released. A truck crash in Mississippi led to an urgent search today after the cargo of disease-carrying research monkeys escaped from the wreckage. Our Mola Lange has those details.
Tonight, the urgent search for dangerous research monkeys that escaped from the wreckage of a crash on a Mississippi highway.
We got 21 monkeys that was on this. We got 5 of them on the run.
Video showing several monkeys crawling in the grass. Heavily armed officers responding to the scene. Authorities say a truck carrying nearly 24 rhesus monkeys from Tulane University overturned on Interstate 59 in Jasper County.
Here's one of the monkeys right here. There's one sitting right there.
At least 6 monkeys escaping. Officials warning they might be aggressive towards people and were potentially infected with hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID.
They may have to neutralize something out here in a minute.
And late today, police confirming all but one of the escaped monkeys had been euthanized for public safety reasons, adding they're still actively searching for that one monkey still on the loose.
Well, Linsey, the monkeys that did not escape from the truck are said to be okay and accounted for. Linsey?
Mola, thank you. 18 innings, 609 pitches, a walk-off home run, and 6 hours, 39 minutes later, many fans called last night's World Series game one of the most unforgettable. Last night's epic 6-5 showdown for the Los Angeles Dodgers over the Toronto Blue Jays was the second longest World Series game ever played, according to Time, and tied for the most innings played, matching the Dodgers' 18-inning thriller against the Boston Red Sox back in 2018. Both teams emptied their bullpens, combining for 19 pitchers and 44 total players, with a whopping 609 pitches before the night was through. And though Toronto battled relentlessly, the true boys in blue have none other than first baseman and power hitter Freddie Freeman to thank for sealing the victory win, being the first player in the World Series history with multiple career walk-off home runs. Los Angeles now leads the series 2-1 ahead of tonight's Game 4. And coming up, as Hurricane Melissa rips across Jamaica, our Ginger Z reports on warnings that the U.S. government agency leading the world in extreme weather forecasting could be in jeopardy.
The patient, we are the patient. Earth is the patient. And the doctors are the scientists that are studying it. You want a healthier patient, invest in your doctors. Invest in the research that is necessary in order to understand how we could be building these better forecasts.
And later, what police want you to know ahead of Halloween to make sure that treat isn't really a trick. Plus, rising country music star Dasha is tonight's Prime Playlist. Welcome back, everyone. Meteorologists don't just tell us the 5-day forecast. They keep us out of harm's way by tracking catastrophic storms and severe weather events. And because of years of federally funded climate research, the accuracy of their predictions have vastly improved. But now layoffs and proposed budget cuts are jeopardizing the progress we've made. Our chief meteorologist, Ginger Z, explains just what's at stake.
You're being rushed into surgery with a life-threatening tumor. Your doctor is one of the best, not just because of her years of tireless training, but because of the decades of medical research uncovering just how your cancer works and the best way to treat it. Now, imagine a hurricane is what's threatening your life. And in place of a doctor, there's a meteorologist using years of climate research to track the storm, giving you a chance to get out of harm's way. A chance to survive. Now, what if that research suddenly went away?
Can we have a strong National Weather Service without an investment in climate science?
No. Climate science and weather are inextricably linked. Today, we have forecasts that go out 10 days with accuracy because we're making measurements in places like the Indian Ocean, in Antarctica, in the Arctic. We are canvassing the globe and looking how that information gives us the intelligence we need in order to make a forecast that's not just daily, that's not weekly, it's beyond, it's monthly, it's seasonally for the farmers so they know what to plant.
Craig McLean spent more than 4 decades at the agency responsible for much of the nation's weather and climate research, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA.
I retired in 2022 on April Fool's Day because I thought that was an appropriate day to go out.
But Craig says since Donald Trump began his second term, there is nothing funny about what happened at NOAA. More than 1,000 employees were laid off or took buyouts, part of the Trump administration's plan to slash the federal workforce and eliminate wasteful spending, which cost the agency thousands of years of combined experience.
people whose expertise cannot be replicated because the Doge cuts were so steep and so unguided.
And now, NOAA finds itself facing significant budget cuts proposed by the Trump administration.
If NOAA loses the budget money, there is no academic community to be doing that work because it's NOAA money that was paying the academic community to be a 50-50 partner with the NOAA government scientists in order to do this work.
So this is a map of a bunch of different cooperative institutes that different universities have with NOAA.
One of those partnerships is with the University of Miami, where hurricane researcher Andy Hazelton works on state-of-the-art computer weather models that are making hurricane forecasts more accurate than ever.
5-day forecast last year was about as accurate as a 1-day forecast was in 1992 when Hurricane Andrew hit here in South Florida. You look at 2005 when Hurricane Katrina hit, that was just a couple years into doing 5-day forecasts, and forecasts now are basically twice as accurate as they were then.
Did you catch that? If Katrina happened today, the forecast would be at least 2 times more accurate.
We getting out of here today?
You guys are getting out of here right now.
When Katrina hit, this was the forecast cone back then, showing it up into the Florida Big Bend and sort of missing the southwest turn over Miami. But with modern modeling, you would have had a much better idea that this was going to hit southeast Louisiana and Mississippi several days out and would have had better warnings. So hopefully we'd be better prepared for the next Katrina.
I've never seen something like an entire home, a well-built home, rolling down the street. We just watched that happen in real time.
Andy says because of work like his, $5 billion is saved every time a hurricane hits the country. And more importantly, countless lives are saved too.
Wanting to see forecasts continue to get better and better so that people are able to prepare sooner and sooner and protect themselves when hurricanes come.
But like everything, it comes at a cost. To do that, Andy needs funding and the support of federal science agencies who use tools that are not available to private companies like NOAA's Hurricane Hunters program, which has been working with the University of Miami for decades.
There's a hurricane. Yeah, there it is.
I had the opportunity to fly with the Hurricane Hunters who collect critical information that powers those weather models and tell us when and where those life-threatening storms will hit.
It's kind of like an MRI where you're going and really getting like a 3-dimensional picture inside the storm and a full scan, basically.
That info is critical for all meteorologists. I'm talking every single private company, the data that comes to your apps. We all rely on these 3D scans. On top of that, a ton of federal weather data. It all helps us predict where a storm is headed and how strong it will be.
Michael, Andrew, Camille, they were tropical storms just 48 hours prior. So that's kind of the case that why we really want to make our modeling better so that when we get these rapidly intensifying cases that just take off, we're ready for them, especially when they're heading towards populated areas.
And thanks to scientific research and better data collection, those well-known hurricane cones have been shrinking. The smaller the cone, the more accurate the predicted path. Investing in climate research isn't only about preparing for the next storm. It's creating a foundation for the years and decades to come.
How do we make it better? How do we keep improving?
I think scientists need to make a bigger commitment to communicate to that person on the street, their aunt, their uncle, their next door neighbor, how important the science is we do. If you narrow the path by 1 mile, you're saving $4 million.
Ben Kirtman says a big part of the success we've seen with better forecasting is the result of that collaboration between the federal government.
All right, so this is the beachhead.
And universities, like the use of this hurricane simulator to better understand a storm's destructive behavior.
That's the beachhead, and so you can test building materials, coral reef, whatever kind of infrastructure. You're going to have this sense that you are in a Category 5 hurricane, even though you're safe.
We have to basically be bringing in the latest universities and external collaborators to make sure that we're still have all this knowledge and are, keeping up with technology.
Whether it's medical research or meteorology, science saves lives. And without investing in it, Craig says the forecast for all of us will be darker.
We are the patient. Earth is the patient. And the doctors are the scientists that are studying it. You want a healthier patient, invest in your doctors. Invest in the research that is necessary in order to understand how we could be building these better forecasts.
NOAA tells us that they have requested $4.5 billion in funding and that, quote, this robust funding level empowers NOAA to deliver the world's best science and services, end quote. The agency said that they are eliminating wasteful spending and what they are calling inefficient green policies to ensure that every dollar serves the American people effectively. Lindsay?
Still more questions on the horizon. Our thanks to Ginger for that. Still ahead, we talk with a lawyer about why the state of Texas is suing Tylenol and checking in with a medical expert about what you need to know about the popular painkiller and fever reducer. And later, from the funny man who said funny things are everywhere, the newly discovered Dr. Seuss manuscript, which means more funny things, maybe just around the corner. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who also happens to be running for Senate, announced today that he is suing the makers of Tylenol, alleging Johnson & Johnson and the spinoff company Kenvue have been aware of risks the state believes are associated between acetaminophen use and diagnoses of autism and ADHD in children. Last month, a list of organizations pushed back specifically on the autism claims, and today the current maker of Tylenol, Kenvue, said in a statement, "We stand firmly with the global medical community that acknowledges the safety of acetaminophen and believe we will continue to be successful in litigation as these claims lack legal merit and scientific support." Joining us now is attorney Ashley Keller, who is lead counsel for Texas in their claims against the makers of Tylenol. Mr. Keller, thanks so much for coming on Prime. At the Oval Office press conference last month, attended by the president and Health Secretary RFK Jr., a meta-analysis was mentioned that showed some association between acetaminophen and autism. But then the lead author of that study himself threw cold water on any suggestion of proof of cause, using the analogy about ice cream sales and violent crime. Both rise in the summer, but that doesn't mean, of course, that ice cream causes violent crime. Why do you believe that there's a smoking gun that scientists are missing beyond suggestions of a possible association?
Yeah, so first, thanks for having me on. I don't think that there's a smoking gun. I think that you have to look at the totality of the available evidence to infer a causal inference. We're not going to do randomized controlled trials in this country. We're not going to do experiments on the fetal brain. That would be deeply unethical. So as with any other drug, we're going to infer causation based on everything that we know. I don't think that he poured cold water on anything by saying we don't have definitive proof, but definitive proof is not required before companies have to warn pregnant women of truthful information so that they can properly assess risk for themselves.
Well, he did say that it was correlational, not causal, right? That's where the ice cream and violence came in. But as you know, dozens of studies have looked for a causal link between acetaminophen and autism. None has ever been found. So how will you refute this peer-reviewed evidence you know the makers of Tylenol will present in court?
Yeah, so I don't agree with you. Individual studies aren't designed to show causation. That's why you have to do a meta-analysis. That's why you do a weight of the evidence analysis to look at the totality of everything that we have out there. And I guess I would flip it around on you. What would you want to see before you warned pregnant women? What type of information do you think can prove a causal risk? The only things that I know of that allow you to definitively prove causation, again, are randomized controlled trials, are actually looking at the biological mechanism by which an exposure harms the fetal brain. We're not going to do that, right? I hope that nobody thinks that we should engage in that type of ethical misbehavior. We're not Nazi Germany. So these inferential studies are the best that we have. And there are dozens of human epidemiological studies showing a link. Again, you're right. Association is not causation, but association is a necessary precondition for causation. And this association has been observed dozens of times. We do experiments on animals because that is ethical, and we are seeing neurodevelopmental harm in the offspring of, for example, rodents. So this is an extremely dangerous drug that pregnant women have been lulled into a false sense of security about. And I'm really grateful that people like President Trump, Secretary Kennedy, and now General Paxton are sounding the alarm. No one's banning the product. Pregnant women are still free to make their own choices, but they deserve to have truthful information when they decide what they're going to do for themselves and their unborn kids.
So you do know that Tylenol is the only over-the-counter medication that's recommended for pregnant women who have a fever. As we know, fevers in pregnant women could cause neural tube and congenital heart defects in their fetuses. But the president told pregnant women last month to tough it out and not take Tylenol. Do you also agree with the president on that?
The president said tough it out and don't take Tylenol unless it's necessary. And in consultation with your doctor, it may well be necessary to treat maternal fever. But 93% of pregnant acetaminophen usage is not for fever. It's for minor aches and pains and headaches. And I think most pregnant women would say, if I had known the truth about this, I wouldn't take it for a minor ache or pain. Yes, I might take it for fever as directed by my doctor, but I'm not going to take it for everyday usage.
You currently represent people in civil cases against the makers of Tylenol. You've had cases filed since 2022 without any success. Why do you think that things would end differently now?
Well, litigation takes a long time. We're in the early innings. We are eventually going to be successful. And General Paxton's suit on behalf of Texans doesn't require us to prove causation, which again, you keep harping on whether there's proof, definitive proof of causation. He just has to show that these companies knew of a risk and concealed it, and they most certainly did.
Scientists have discovered a strong genetic component to autism. There's also evidence that parental age and environmental factors can contribute to the increased likelihood of autism. What do you say about that evidence?
I think that evidence is pretty good. Once again, it's association, not causation. But if you asked me what I would infer that genes can contribute to causing autism. I would infer that parental age can increase the risk of autism and neurodevelopmental harm. There are multifactorial causes of these conditions. Almost everything that we experience, from cancer to neurodevelopmental harm, is caused by more than one thing. So Tylenol is a link on the causal chain. We're not saying it's the only cause of autism, ADHD, and other neurodevelopmental disorders, but it's one of many causes. And the other two that you just flagged are also probably causes.
Appreciate the conversation. Ashley Keller, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Coming up, the soaring country vocals of Dasha continue to attract more fans to her music. Our Roxy Diaz sits down with the California native, and we'll show you the new supersonic jet NASA tested today over the California desert, why it could become a game changer. The painful details that Misty Copeland, the People's Ballerina, is sharing about her final performance. Exciting news for Dr. Seuss fans everywhere. And how do you say I do in dog? These stories and more in tonight's rundown. NASA tested a new supersonic jet that can break the speed of sound silently for the first time today. They're hoping the X-59 supersonic jet, designed by Lockheed Martin, is the answer to a long-standing barrier for supersonic air travel. Since 1973, supersonic aircraft have been banned from flying over the United States due to the loud booms they create on the ground. NASA says with this plane, the boom is more like a thump and can barely be heard from the ground. On the lead up to her farewell performance, Misty Copeland says she was battling a hip injury that was causing so much pain. The groundbreaking ballerina told the New York Times that she struggled to walk after her final performance with the American Ballet Theater last week. Copeland was honored at a gala celebrating her history-making 25 years with the dance company, becoming the first black female principal dancer in the company's history. Copeland was unanimously approved to join Ballet Theater's Board of Trustees. One of her biggest aims is to have more teachers of color in the company's school. A measles outbreak in South Carolina continues to grow this week. 8 new measles cases have been reported since Friday, according to the state's health department. It brings the total number of cases in the outbreak to 30. All 8 new cases were close contacts that were quarantining at home. Health officials continue to offer measles vaccines to the public with a free mobile health unit at various locations across the state. He said what he meant, and he meant what he said. And now there's more Dr. Seuss to be had. The University of California, San Diego has discovered an original manuscript and cover art from Ted Geisel, better known as the one and only Dr. Seuss, in their campus library. The book, called Sing in the 50 States, invites readers to learn and name all 50 states together with the iconic Cat in the Hat and Two Little Helpers. The book is scheduled for release next summer with artwork drawn in the style of Dr. Seuss. This Halloween, officials are warning parents and caregivers to be extra vigilant when checking the packaging of candy and other snack products. A police department in Michigan issued a warning after uncovering counterfeit candy and snacks containing THC and hallucinogenic mushroom products in the packaging that looked like the authentic product. Officials told ABC News that the makers of the candy and snack products shown in the warnings are not behind the fake products. A very good boy played a crucial role at this couple's wedding. Wally, the golden retriever, was an official witness to his best friend's marriage due to a quirk in New York State that allows for 2 official witnesses on marriage certificates. The furry friend gave his paw of approval and walked down the aisle with the groom on the big day. He even got his own wedding cake to celebrate the big day. But after such an exciting day, even Wally needed a break, dozing off in the car on the way home. A very good boy indeed. Memorable melodies, soaring vocals, and a personality to fit the presence that we see on stage. Dasha is a rising country star whose hit song Austin, Boot Stop Workin' helped catapult her career. This month, her latest EP, Anna, dropped, a nod to a side of herself that's been there all along. Roxy Diaz sat down with the California native to talk about her new music and the road that brought us to right now on tonight's Prime Playlist.
Country pop sensation Dasha is riding her own wave of success. Her boot-stomping, chorus-shouting hit single Austin, Boot Stopped Workin', reaching more than 1.5 billion streams.
In 40 years, you'll still be here, drunk, wash up in Austin.
Taking the world by storm.
Did your boots stop working? Did your truck break down?
The award-winning singer-songwriter's hit, Not at This Party, even getting the David Guetta remix treatment.
And I'm not at this party.
And now, Dasha's viral stardom catapulting her onto some of the biggest stages in music, including Stagecoach.
Is this like a surreal moment for you?
It's so wild. This whole year has just been insane. It kind of takes my words away when I think about it, because as a young girl, this is like literally all I could have ever wanted. Well, I started singing before I could talk. My dad would kind of like do melodies to me and like do, and we'd sing back and forth. And then I started doing musical theater and performing when I was 5.
So we could have had a thespian in front of us.
Girl, I am such a thespian. You have no idea.
Recording her first song at 13, at 18, she halted her pursuit of a songwriting degree to move to Los Angeles.
My dad, quote from his mouth, real CEOs don't graduate. He was stoked when I dropped out.
Okay.
He was like, go girl, you follow those dreams. And I was like, thanks, Dad.
Her 2023 breakout hit, Austin, going platinum 40 times. She says she wrote it with a broken heart.
I feel like the type of music I make is the music that I wish I heard on the radio. That like if there's like a gap of this country pop where I'm like, I want something that I can dance to, that can also feel something and tells a story front to back. And that's what Austin was when I wrote that song. I was like, I needed this song in my playlist. I had a very broken heart and I was really mad. And we wrote that song and it turned into this insane career.
And for those wondering about that ex she wrote about.
Okay, breakup, wrote the song, obviously heard the song. Who doesn't love a hit song written about them? He crawls back in. I'm a sucker.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, you like the attention, do ya? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, peace out again. If I'm being honest, that was the best songwriting content I ever got out of that man. So selfishly, I was like, what else can I get out of you?
Okay.
I got a lot of good songs out of him.
But with her skyrocketing career, Dasha also candid about the people who may want to see you fall along the way.
When you talk about the online bullying that you've received and the double standard and the sexism in country music that you see also, how do you want to break through for other young up-and-coming country singers like yourself to help them make it maybe easier?
I mean, I feel like the only thing you can do is just keep your shoulders back and rise above it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are going to say what they're going to say, and genres will be what they are, and traditions will be what they are, and people are going to have their opinions, and not everyone's going to like you. And the right people will find you.
And now, at 25, Dasha looks back in order to move forward.
Where do you think you get the most inspiration from?
A lot of it is this relationship I have with growing up, and I feel like I am very aware of who I am and how I change as a person, which I really like about myself, and I journal a lot. And so a lot of my song ideas come from just like writing my journal in the morning, just letting my brain do what it does.
Dasha sharing more honesty on her new EP, Anna, titled after her given name. The songstress going back in time, telling fans, I'm still learning about Dasha, but I've remembered who Anna is. I can't wait for y'all to get to know her too.
people knew me as the Boots girl, which was so cool. They still do. But I feel like they didn't know it was Dasha singing this song and where I come from and why I sing what I do and just my story that got totally skipped over. And it's such like a special part of why I make country music and how I tell stories. Oh, Anna, my song is all about losing yourself as an adult and just finding the little kid in you again. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that and just want that fearlessness back.
Dasha now celebrating the release of Anna with some of her biggest fans.
Hi, guys. Wow.
This lucky group of Dasha fans packing into the infamous Nightbird Studios for an intimate listening session before its world release.
You guys are the first humans, besides my team, to get to hear it on planet Earth. So that's pretty exciting. So Work On Me is the first track, and you all ready for it? Yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh my God, I'm nervous. Okay.
Her fans emerging from the meet and greet impressed and excited.
Oh my God, we've been needing music like this.
I love her sound. Like, I think it's so unique.
She blends that pop and that country really well.
Yes.
Makes it really fun to listen to.
To hear country music that actually is heart bumping. It gets the blood rushing enough to almost want to get up and dance again.
It's so personal. She was so vulnerable. And I think that's a big reason why I love her so much.
As an adult, Dasha admits she's still learning the similarities between Anna and Dasha.
I've just always been a little stinker for trouble, but along with that, I feel like I've always worn my heart on my sleeve and been very sensitive and had that to kind of weigh it out, balance it out a bit. I've just always really cared about people and the people I love around me a lot. And sometimes it's a double-edged sword, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something that Anna always struggled with was what can I do to help people, to make people happy, but also how much am I hurting myself to do that? So that's something I learned growing up, becoming Dasha.
Is it fair to say that Dasha protects Anna now in some way?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Fist her up. She's so perfect. Little baby me.
In the meantime, she's still dancing.
I can't wait to see you do Austin now with this lion dance attached to it, which has gone viral on TikTok. And also you have another
Not this party one.
Yeah, that one is also going viral as well. The line dances are just following you.
You're going, girl.
And that viral line dance. A lot harder than it seems.
Stomp, stomp. And yeah, that's the first, that's good.
That's just the first part.
That's so hard to
Oh God.
Almost just like.
That's all I'm gonna be doing right there.
My best friend doing it is like. I'm like, you know what, girl, it's not for everybody.
Let her do it. I can't do it. That's all y'all are getting out of me. You guys gotta laugh out of me now.
Maybe next time.
Next, I'm not.
Our thanks to Roxy Diaz and Dasha. That is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us.